Hello, FreeJord. I really appreciate you watching and commenting. Now, let's listen to the story.
The promotion I had been promised for finishing the project flawlessly never came. Grant Kellerman stood before the entire operations division and handed it to someone else, as if his promise to me had never existed at all. I watched him shake Marissa Cole's hand, watched the applause rise around us like nothing was wrong, and something inside me went silent. I did not argue. I did not cry. I waited until the meeting ended, walked back to my desk, and typed a 2-line resignation. No speech, no emotion, just the truth, and a final, polite good luck. When I slid the envelope across his desk, Grant looked confused, almost annoyed, like I was interrupting a thought that mattered more than I did. He ripped it open without hesitation. I could hear the paper tear. I could hear my own heartbeat. Then his expression shifted. Confusion folding into disbelief. Disbelief folding into fear. "Avery, is this a joke? Tell me you're joking." I stood there, hands steady at my sides. "I am not joking." He shoved back from his chair, the legs scraping the floor. "You cannot walk out. Not after everything you have been leading. You are the only one who understands the Aurora retrofit workflows." His voice cracked on the last word, like he had just realized he had said too much. "So, you do need me?" My voice was calm, almost gentle. "That is not what I said," he snapped. "You just need to take a day to cool off. You are upset about the announcement, but you cannot throw away your future over one decision." I held his stare. "You made promises you never planned to keep. That is what I am walking away from." Grant pressed his palm against the resignation letter as if he could hold it there. Keep it from becoming real. "Averly, think. Marissa is new. She cannot take over your responsibilities yet. The clients." I stepped back then. "I hope your good luck comes quickly." His mouth opened again, but nothing came out. He was finally realizing that the moment he betrayed me was the moment he lost control of everything he thought he owned. I walked out of his office knowing his panic was only the beginning. 6 months before that resignation letter rattled Grant, he stood beside my workstation at North Star Precision with a voice full of certainty. "Averly, you are the only one I trust with the Aurora retrofit project," he said. "If you deliver this cleanly, the operations program supervisor role is yours." I had looked up from my notes, stunned. "You mean officially mine?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. "This project is massive, a medical device client worth more than $200,000 a quarter. You finish it with 0 deviations, and I will make sure you get the promotion you deserve." The words landed harder than he realized. After a painful divorce and moving back to Minneapolis to rebuild my life, I needed something solid to stand on. "Then I will deliver it," I told him. He smiled like a man who already owned the outcome. "I know you will." From that day forward, my life shifted. My friends learned not to invite me out on weekends because I was always at the plant. My mother called one Sunday afternoon and sighed. "You sound exhausted, honey. I am just working. It is important." I told her important was an understatement. The Aurora retrofit was unforgiving. Tight tolerances, rushed prototypes, constant design revisions. Twice it nearly collapsed. Once because a supplier delayed a critical shipment. Once because a design engineer uploaded the wrong revision. Both times Grant called me at dawn. "Averly, fix this," he demanded, as if I were the only person in Minneapolis capable of holding the entire project together. I did fix it. I coordinated emergency orders, reworked schedules, and talked down a furious client who threatened to cancel the contract. When the crisis passed, Grant walked into the production meeting and announced, "We stayed on track thanks to decisive leadership." He did not look in my direction once. Afterward, I confronted him. "You could have acknowledged what actually happened." He waved a hand. Everyone knows you're dependable. You'll get your moment. And I believed him. Every hour I gave, every part I inspected, every fire I put out, I tied all of it to the future he had promised me. The future I believed was waiting for me until the moment it wasn't. By the end of the 4th month, the Aurora retrofit project was flawless. Every tolerance met, every delivery arrived early, every audit passed. When the client's quality director called, she asked for me by name. "Averly, you saved this rollout," she said. "We've never seen a retrofit run this clean. I'm sending a formal thank you letter to your leadership." I felt something warm settle in my chest. Thank you. It means more than you know. The letter arrived 2 days later. Grant opened it before I did. "Good work," he said, waving the page casually. "I'll include this in our quarterly report." I reached for the letter, but he folded it and slipped it beneath a stack of his own documents. "Grant, I'd like a copy of that." "I'll forward it," he said, already turning toward his office. He did forward it, but later. When I walked past the conference room and saw him reviewing his report, I noticed my words, my process outlines, my notes, my timelines woven into paragraphs under the heading Leadership Achievements. My name appeared once, buried in a footnote. I stepped inside. "You are presenting my work as your own." He did not look up. "I'm presenting the department's work. Don't get stuck on formatting. It's not formatting. It's credit." He exhaled sharply. "Averly, please. The promotion conversation is coming. Everything will make sense then." I wanted to believe him. For months, coworkers had been nudging me with quiet smiles. "You're next," one machinist said. "Everyone knows it." On the morning of the division meeting, several engineers stopped by my desk. "Good luck today," one of them said. "You earned this." I smoothed the front of my blazer. "Thank you. I'm ready." I was ready. I had done everything he asked. More than he asked. More than anyone had expected of me. When I walked into that meeting, I thought I knew what was coming. I thought perfection would finally be enough. Grant stood at the front of the room with the same rehearsed confidence he used for every major announcement. "Before we begin," he said, "I want to recognize someone who will be stepping into a critical leadership role." I straightened in my chair. "Marissa Cole," he continued, "will be our new operations program supervisor." A murmur moved through the room. Marissa, who had joined North Star Precision less than 2 months earlier, blinked as if she needed a moment to process what she'd heard. She stood, smoothing her blouse. "Thank you, everyone. I'm excited to, work closely with the Aurora systems and all the machining deliverables. I've been reading up on the retrofit metrics, and I think there's a lot of potential for synergy." Someone coughed. An engineer stared at his shoes. She didn't know the terminology, the workflows, or even the correct department names. Yet she kept talking, unaware of the discomfort spreading across the room. When she finished, Grant led the applause. He looked proud of her, proud of himself. My hands stayed still. After the meeting, 2 veteran technicians approached me quietly. "Averly," one said, "that should have been you. Everyone knows it." The second nodded. "We're sorry. This is wrong." I forced a smile. "Thank you for saying that." Grant intercepted me before I could leave. "Avery," he said, placing a hand briefly on my arm. "Be a team player. Help guide her." "Okay." She is still adjusting. "Adjusting to what?" I asked. He lowered his voice. "Do not make this difficult. Marissa has strong backing from headquarters. You understand how these things work." I stared at him. He did not flinch. He did not apologize. He behaved as if nothing had been promised, nothing had been taken, nothing had been lost. Behind him, Marissa flashed me a bright smile, unaware of anything except her new title. Every part of me felt the humiliation, quiet, sharp, deliberate, and it sank deeper than anger ever could. I found Grant alone in his office after the meeting, shuffling papers as if burying himself in work might erase what he had just done. "Grant," I said, closing the door behind me, "we need to talk." He didn't look up. "If this is about Marissa, let it go." The company's needs shifted. I stepped closer. "You promised me that role. You tied it directly to the Aurora retrofit project." He finally lifted his head, irritation flickering in his eyes. "I never promised a formal promotion. We discussed possibilities. That is all. That is not what you said." I reached into my bag and set my phone on his desk. I saved every email, including the one where you wrote, "Complete Aurora with 0 deviations, and the supervisor role is yours." Grant stared at the screen as I pulled up the message. His jaw tightened. "I do not recall sending that." I let out a slow breath. "It is your email, Grant." He pushed the phone away with 2 fingers as if the truth physically irritated him. "You are being emotional. You need to take pride in being indispensable. You have a talent for operations, and the best teams rely on people like you, people like me." My voice was steady. "Yes," he said. "Reliable, consistent, low ego. That is why this is so out of character for you. You are turning something small into something dramatic. I worked nights and weekends for a project you said would define my future. And it did." He snapped. "Your performance puts you in a strong position here. You should not jeopardize that over a misunderstanding." "It is not a misunderstanding," I said quietly. "You never intended to follow through." He opened his mouth, but no defense came out. Only the realization that I had finally seen him clearly. For the first time in years, the last bridge between us did not feel worth crossing again. I wrote the resignation in less than a minute. 2 lines, clear, final, and stripped of emotion. When I printed it, the paper felt lighter than it should have, like the weight I had been carrying had slipped off without asking permission. Grant was on the phone when I stepped into his office. He held up a finger, signaling me to wait. I didn't. I placed the letter in front of him. He ended the call mid-sentence. "What is this?" "My resignation," I said, keeping my voice even, effective immediately. "Good luck, Grant." The words landed harder than any argument could have. He blinked as if he needed time to process a reality he never expected. "Everly, stop. You are not doing this. You are upset. Sit down." "No," I said. He tore the letter open, eyes darting across the page. "This is ridiculous. You don't quit over one decision." "It was not one decision," I said. "It was every decision that led here." His denial came quickly. "You are overreacting. We can fix this. I can adjust responsibilities. Maybe move you into a senior coordinator role." "No." He shoved back from his desk so abruptly his chair slammed into the cabinet behind him. "You cannot walk out. You are essential to Aurora. Marissa is nowhere near ready. The clients depend on you. That sounds like your problem, not mine." Panic flashed next, sharp and unfiltered. "Averly, be reasonable. Think about your future. Think about stability. No other firm will hire someone who quits under pressure." There it was, the intimidation, the final card he believed he could play. I stepped back toward the door. "I am not the one under pressure." "Grant." His voice rose, anger replacing fear. "If you leave, do not expect a reference from me. You are burning your own career. I think I will be fine." He stood there gripping the paper, breathing hard as if he finally understood what he had lost. I turned and walked out, without waiting for anything else. For the first time in years, my mind felt quiet, clear, free. Behind me, Grant's voice didn't follow. His panic stayed in the room, and I left it there. I had been gone for only 3 days when the first message reached me. It was from Marissa. Averly, do you have a second? I'm trying to interpret an engineering change order, and I think I'm reading it wrong. I stared at the screen. She had been given a role she never earned, and now she was drowning in responsibilities she did not understand. I typed back, I cannot assist. You need to speak with Grant or engineering. Not even an hour later, a second message arrived, this time from a major aerospace client. Averly, we have noticed several delays and conflicting updates. Can you clarify what is happening on North Star's end? I read the message twice before replying. I am no longer with North Star Precision. You will need to contact their current operations supervisor. A pause. Then the client wrote, that explains a lot. By that afternoon, my LinkedIn inbox began filling with quiet, almost uneasy notes. A machinist. Things are going sideways. Nobody knows who is responsible for what anymore. A scheduler. Grant keeps snapping at people. He says everything is under control, but nothing is. A quality engineer. Marissa asked me what a deviation report is. I thought she was joking. I did not respond to any of them. I would not be pulled back into a place that had already taken so much. The next morning, another message came in, this one from the vice president who once praised Grant's leadership. Averly, I need to verify something. Were you the primary lead on Aurora? I typed back carefully. Yes. I managed all workflows and client communication for its entire duration, she replied. Thank you. That aligns with what we are uncovering. Uncovering. The word lingered. A day later, someone from North Star called but hung up before the voicemail started. Another crack in the facade. Grant was still trying to make the lie hold, but the weight of everything he built on my back was starting to come loose. Piece by piece. The call came on a Wednesday morning, 2 weeks after I left North Star Precision. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. Is this Averly Rhodes? A calm voice asked. Yes, it is. My name is Daniel Soren, director at Summit Craft Machining. We were given your name by a medical device client who spoke very highly of your leadership on the Aurora retrofit project. I sank into my chair. I appreciate that. I am no longer with North Star. That is exactly why I am calling, he said. We have an opening for a program lead in operations, real authority, autonomy, and fair compensation. I would like to discuss it with you if you are open. I let out a soft breath. You want an interview? No, Daniel said. I want you. The client said you carried work worth more than $200,000 without a single deviation. People like that do not appear often. The directness stunned me for a moment. I could not speak. He continued. If you are interested, we would like to bring you in this week. I believe you will find Summit Craft different from where you came from. After we set a time, I stared at my reflection in the dark screen of my laptop. I wasn't hesitating because I doubted them. I hesitated because I finally understood how low North Star had kept the ceiling above my head. During the interview, Daniel asked one question that cut straight through me. What do you need in order to thrive? No one at North Star had ever asked me anything like that. By the end of the afternoon, they offered me the position. I accept, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. My first week at Summit Craft passed without a single emergency call. No late-night texts, no sudden crises, no dread creeping into Sunday evenings. I felt like a person again, not a patch for everyone else's mistakes. But I also knew peace never lasts long when the past still has loose ends. 3 months into my new role at Summit Craft, I received an email from an unfamiliar address at North Star Precision. The subject line read, Internal Audit Inquiry. I almost deleted it, but something told me to open it. Ms. Rhodes, the message began. We are reviewing several inconsistencies in quarterly reports tied to the Aurora retrofit project. Your name appears repeatedly in our document trail. We request a brief call. I replied with a time, expecting a tense conversation. Instead, the auditor, a man named Calvin Brooks, sounded almost relieved when I answered. "Thank you for speaking with me," he said. "We have found mismatched data in Mr. Kellerman's submissions. We need to confirm who managed specific workflows." "I managed all of them," I said. "Every schedule adjustment, every supplier correction, every quality deviation." Calvin paused. "That helps clarify a lot." "What exactly is happening?" I asked. He exhaled slowly. Grant reported inflated budget numbers, shifted timelines to protect his own metrics, and listed several process improvements under his leadership. "But the supporting documentation points to you." I kept my voice calm. "I can provide full records." "Please do," he said. "Your transparency will be critical to this review." I spent the evening sending organized files, emails, logs, audit sheets. Nothing rewritten, nothing embellished, just the truth. 2 days later, Calvin called back. "The board has been informed," he said. "And there is something else." Marissa admitted she was placed in the supervisor role due to pressure from headquarters. This opens another layer of review. I leaned back in my chair. I had no part in any of that. "We know," he replied. "Grant will be facing formal hearings." I ended the call feeling neither vindicated nor angry, just settled. Grant had built a career on borrowed credit, and now the debts were coming due. The final update from Northstar arrived on a Monday morning, tucked between routine emails about machining schedules and supplier quotes. I opened it without emotion, the way you might open a letter from a life you no longer belong to. The message was brief. Grant Kellerman has been terminated following confirmed fraudulent reporting. He is prohibited from holding leadership positions in manufacturing for 3 years. Daniel, my director at Summitcraft, noticed the way I stopped typing. "Everything all right?" "Yes," I said. "Just closure." Another email followed shortly after, this one from Marissa. Her tone was quiet, stripped of the breezy confidence she once carried. "Averly, I have been reassigned to an entry-level compliance position. They said I need proper grounding before taking on responsibility again. I wanted to tell you I am sorry. I should never have accepted that role the way I did." I replied simply, "I hope you learn what you need to grow." She wrote back, "I intend to," later that week. A letter came through the mailroom. At Summitcraft. 2 former engineers from Northstar had signed it. "Thank you for never bending your integrity to match the politics around you," it read. "We stayed because we believed in people like you. We hope your new team sees your worth in ways ours never did." I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my drawer. No triumph, no bitterness, just a quiet truth settling into place. Grant had not been undone by me. He had been undone by the shortcuts he believed no one would ever notice. At Summitcraft, I stepped into a new role leading a multi-million-dollar operations program. My team listened, respected the work, and treated me like someone who belonged at the helm, not in the shadows. When I walked out of Northstar, I did it because a broken promise tried to break me. Walking away was the first promise I ever kept to myself.